In this edition, is Australia ripping off parent visa applicants? The Australian Immigration Department introduces its first lottery green card visa. Long-term temporary protection visas are thrown a PR lifeline, and Queensland's bizarre state-sponsored priority processing offer, and more. Welcome to Australian Immigration News, the weekly edition brought to you by Australian Immigration Law Services here in Sydney. And I'm Karl Konrad. During this week, we've had the historic announcement of Australia's first ever lottery-style visa. The Treasurer expressing the need to expand our workforce, progress for the long-suffering 887 visa applicants, and more. There are many big changes in the Australian migration visa system ahead, so make sure you don't miss any of it. Subscribe to this channel to get the latest news and commentary. In an historic announcement this week, Pacific Islanders would be given a pathway to permanent residency upon obtaining employment here. Next week, the legislation will be introduced to allow a US-style green card ballot program where a fortunate 3,000 will be chosen. The lucky selected will then be able to apply for permanent residency only if they have secured a job offer in Australia.
To enter the ballot, people need to be aged between 18 and 45 with basic English language skills, have a formal job offer in Australia, and meet health and character checks. Eligible countries include Timor-Leste, Fiji, Kiribati, Nauru, Samoa, Papua New Guinea, the Solomons and Vanuatu.
No doubt there will be some time afforded to them to find such a job offer. Most Australians visualise Pacific Islanders coming to Australia to work on our farms under the PALM visa system, as this news article depicts. However, what type of job offer the lottery winners will need is still unclear. The legislation will be introduced this coming Thursday, so more details will emerge for us to cover next week. The Immigration Minister also hinted on Thursday that a lottery-style ballot selection process may be used in other temporary and permanent visas.
The ballot process could also be used in the future by Australia's other temporary and permanent migration program.
No doubt this is likely to anger many former international students working in their occupations struggling to get permanent residence themselves, since they have spent nearly $100,000 on education and settlement expenses. Many helped us through the pandemic period, and what do they get? An important skilled migration policy change was announced this week. The department updated its skilled visas website, as you can see here. They are now recognising that valid skill assessment can be submitted during the time of invitation. That is the 60-day period given to you to lodge the application. It says delegates of the Minister will now accept a suitable skill assessment for a nominated skilled occupation which has been obtained within the 60-day invitation period. The previous policy stated that your skill assessment must be valid at the time you received your invitation to apply for the visa. We will make a short video about this change a little later. The Australia Treasurer Jim Chalmers addressed the nation this week regarding the latest economic data. He remained optimistic that Australia will weather the current world economic downturns by implementing some combative policies. Part of the plan the government is considering is to press forward and expand the nation's workforce, which of course can only happen one way, an increase in migration numbers.
We have the ability here to put in place the right economic plan which invests in growth and fixes our supply chains and makes our workforce bigger and more productive and gets that wages growth in our economy at the same time as we get on top of the inflation challenge. I remain optimistic about the future of our economy and the future of our country.
The Treasurer's comments are encouraging for all of you with the aim to apply for permanent residency in Australia. Despite the rental crisis here, it is expected the government will push on to grow the economy as its #1 priority. The Queensland Government appeared under pressure this week by announcing its own style of a registration of interest program, calling it a Register for Consideration of Priority Processing. It took me a while to figure out what in fact they're actually talking about. The first thing that caught my eye on their webpage was the unusual admission that they were under pressure from the federal government's 189 invitations flying about, and it seemed they felt they were missing out on the action and losing potential candidates. The webpage begins with, due to the increase in the subclass 189 invitations being issued by the Department of Home Affairs. Well, to counter this seemingly unfair competition from the DOA, they developed this limited registration of interest system without actually calling it that.
Oops, I should go.
Now we have labelled it as limited, for it opened on Monday and closed yesterday. Now that is the weirdest registration system I've seen today. It reminded me of walking the countryside to try and spot rabbits. No sooner than you've seen one that it's gone back down its hole. Will Queensland pop up once again? Well, you'll have to stay tuned to catch that riveting event. The law was changed this week to allow temporary protection visa holders who came to Australia before 2013 so they could lodge applications for permanent residency. In total, this will be about 19,000 potential applicants. It is a considerate move that matches the government's overall approach to migration issues. Of course, there are those who express concerns that this will once again favour the people smugglers, bringing people to Australia in risky boat passages. It has, of course, raised criticism of the government for favouring those who came illegally over those who have worked here for years without getting such a break.
Now, who couldn't be happy for these people? I wish them all the best. Only it's unfair to others who followed the rules or who don't have the cash for smugglers, and it risks restarting all that chaos. The Green Left has also been ecstatic about Labor letting the Billa family stay here despite them not being refugees. Again, good for them. I wish them the best, but hardly fair.
The ABC ran an interesting story about Indian migrants looking to leave Australia as pressures of staying were becoming too high. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can watch this later on. One of those pressures focused upon was the difficulty in sponsoring one's parents to come to Australia and the associated costs.
Currently, I'm working as a business analyst in IT company. The government, like NSW government, is sponsoring me to, stay here because I am a skilled worker and they need those type of skilled workers. So they give me that permanent residency visa.
But now she and her young family are also looking to leave.
My mother-in-law currently staying with us and spending some time with us and my son. Daddy bolave. Yeah. Bringing them over here, it will cost us at least $100,000. For an application fee. No one has that much of cash.
Now, adding to those pressures, the Immigration Department has released on its parent visa website information that the contributing parent visas will soon be subject to a queued release date, since processing times are expected to take 12 years for applications which are lodged today. Now, 12 years is an astonishing figure and one that undermines the whole contributing parent visa system. As we heard in the ABC story, having to pay nearly $100,000 to bring parents to Australia is bad enough, but forcing people to wait 12 years is unconscionable. The huge second instalment figure of the contributing parent visas was initially introduced to justify covering the parents' potential Medicare costs. When these visas were introduced, it used to only take 6 to 12 months to get them granted. Recently, it has blown out to 4 to 5 years. However, if applicants are waiting 12 years, what are they paying $100,000 for? By the time their visas are granted, their life expectancy to use the Medicare system has been significantly reduced, and therefore this huge second instalment figure can no longer be justified. In addition to this, our new migrants need their parents sooner to join them in helping raise their young children. By the time these visas will be granted, their grandchildren will no longer be children at all. And at the very worst, we will see cases where parents pass away while they wait, never realising their dream to join their families in Australia. As the Immigration Department's website says, these processing times are subject to the total number of visas allocated each year by the federal government. It is time the Labor Party addresses this problem now with increased quotas, and then the wait times will come down. As a country, we cannot be seen as ripping parents off and charging them huge fees, knowing that they have a relatively short number of years to live. Parents must also be sure that it's even worth lodging these visas at all, for the thought of waiting 12 years may be too much to bear. If they don't apply, then the skilled children and their families will also decide to leave Australia as well.
Going back to India is, I would believe, one of the most toughest decision we need to take. But we don't have a choice right now because, we don't want to stay apart from our family.
And now it's time for one of our readers' comments. Samir writes in, "Hi Karl, can you please cover the delay regarding the 887 visa, as it has been neglected visa. No one talks about it, and even DOA is also not providing any information." Absolutely, Samir. It is not fair that the 887 visa applicants have been waiting in limbo for so long. Fortunately, the good news is it seems that hundreds are now being granted their visas, so that is welcoming news. Hang in there and your turn should come up in the next few months. Well, things are hotting up in the world of Australian immigration, and you can get that feeling by this new lottery visa system being introduced. Will it be the shape of things to come? The best way to find out is to stay tuned to our channel. As always, we are here to help. Book a consultation online or make a call to our office. Don't forget to support our channel and hit that like icon too. As always, take care out there and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.